I'm Tegan Mason.
I'm Carson Hamill.
I'm Andrew Odden.
On behalf of Mason Ox Ranch.
From everyone here at Odden Charlet.
And on behalf of the Scattered Star Ranch.
From our family to yours.
From the Phillip community, I just want to say thank you.
We thank you.
Thank you.
I would like...
At A&W, it's called the original Bacon Double Cheeseburger because we invented it. You're welcome, world. 100% U.S. beef, crispy hickory smoked bacon, invented and perfected here. Not to mention, it's just better with made fresh A&W root beer. At participating restaurants, prices may vary. Tax extra.
The Galley Hotel Bar and Grill is on Highway 12 in Webster. Comfortable non-smoking rooms and their steakhouse and bar are open 7 days a week with the grill opening daily at 5 p.m. Daily specials and popular Wings Wednesdays with over 14 sauces with traditional bone-in or boneless wings. Thursdays feature Chislick special night and their slow-cooked prime rib is served on Friday and Saturday nights. Check them out on Facebook or call 605-345-9989 for reservations.
The Guard helps you get an education. The South Dakota Army National Guard offers all its service members in-state tuition assistance towards your college or technical school education. For your service, you will receive 50% off tuition at all South Dakota Board of Regents colleges. If you attend a technical school in the state, you will receive 83.5% off tuition. For more information, visit their Facebook and Instagram pages or check out their website, nationalguard.com/SD.
World-class service with hometown friendliness. That's what you can expect from the staff of Haler Automotive. We sell new vehicles from both Chevrolet and Buick, along with a good selection of late-model pre-owned vehicles. And if you're looking for something a little more vintage, come take a look at our classic car showroom, Highway 12 Classics. We have a full service department, parts department, and a body shop. We're conveniently located East Highway 12 in Webster, or view all of our inventory online at HalerAuto.com.
Paraboom's Cafe, your hometown family restaurant since 1976, going on 4 generations of quality, friendly service, always here for you and your family. We serve locally ground burger from Jorgensen's Meat, never frozen and hand-pattied right here in our own kitchen. Paraboom's Cafe has our very own soup Nazi Mitch, who creates tasty, good-for-your-soul soups daily. And of course, a Paraboom's breakfast like our popular scrap pile or the famous Parma rolls will cure any morning blues you may have, all while being treated graciously from one of our kind staff. Paraboom's Cafe. Go Bearcats!
For those who don't like to be still, for those with things to do and the drive to get them done, for those in search of a partner to help make it happen, there's a bank. A bank that listens, acts, and impacts all things right here. Dakota Bank. Go with experience. Go with teamwork. Go with integrity. For banking, insurance, mortgage, and trust. Dakota Bank, here for you. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, Insurance and Trust Services, not FDIC insured.
Limestone canyons, flowing waterfalls, and pristine beauty make Spearfish a sanctuary for those seeking the ultimate escape. Outdoor enthusiasts will find top-notch sport climbing, mountain biking, and UTV OHV trails. Guests are steps away from peaceful hiking trails and tranquil streams.
Agenda with the following amendments. We will remove action item E. Adam's not here tonight. We want to make sure that we get that position, everything nailed down. Add action item J to amend the school calendar for 21-22 for prom. Action item K to approve South Dakota High School Activities Association ballots that came in after our last board meeting. And then finally, for executive session for personnel. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? So moved. Thank you, Aaron. Second? Second. All in favor say aye. 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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public communications, none. Conflicts disclosure, none. Motion to approve the minutes, and are these separate motions or one motion?
One.
To approve the minutes of our May 11th and June 1st meetings.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Larry. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the financial statements.
So moved.
Thank you, Larry. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Joel. Discussion? Yeah, I gotta ask, I forgot. What was the 32,000 on the science, technology, engineering, and math on our?
No. That was a mispost.
Was mispost?
That was our health insurance. Yes, it's been corrected and posted. Yep.
Okay.
We wish, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say that'd be nice. All right. Any other questions on the financial statements? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the claims.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Larry. Discussion?
That small item, I forgot what it was.
Everything looked pretty standard. I think, electricity maybe a little bit higher, just air conditioning this month versus last year, versus nobody being in school last year in May.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The only two things, everything is just normal business. The only two things would be the two facility assessments.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think everything is normal.
What were the meal refunds for?
Those are for parents that that most likely have seniors and they're not coming back again.
Okay. That's what it was.
For Huck, when he graduates, then you get the refunds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to set the time and place for the budget hearing for 2021, 2022.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Aaron. Discussion.
July 12th, we'll do the budget hearing first, and then it'll be followed by our regular July meeting.
Okay.
July 12th at 7 p.m., correct?
Yes.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve 2021, 2022 contracts. Does this need to be individual or?
Nope. This is for all staffing. This is an annual motion.
Okay. Can I get a motion on that?
So moved.
Thanks, Joel. Second?
Second.
Thanks, Marty. Discussion?
So, are they all filled with the exception of the two? Are all positions?
Yes, the only thing we have that we will have is a para position for the high school special ed, but we won't advertise that until sometime in July, usually hired by the end of July so that they know within a couple of weeks of starting school. We start school the third week of August. So.
Okay.
Coaching wise, I believe Adam's got everything pretty much in place. So.
Good.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the South Dakota High School Activity Association 2021-2022 membership.
So moved.
Thank you, Marty, and Aaron, I think, had the second. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the contract of Eric Coyne, teacher, physical education teacher. So moved. Thank you, Marty. Excuse me, Larry.
Second.
Second, Marty. Discussion?
He will be fulfilling the position of the 4th grade through 10th grade physical education and then some health that's associated with the high school. And then obviously he's still our head girls basketball coach. And I believe he will be a junior high football coach, but that's still pending, and we'll get a contractor and then do that.
Good.
He, we need to disclose this, he's not fully certified. He has a bachelor's degree. We're going to use the alternative certification process with him. He'll have 2 years to take the coursework that's necessary, and then take the praxis tests that are necessary for that. So we've already started that process with the Department of Ed and certification process. So
I'm glad he stepped up and filled the position.
Yeah, I think it's good. Any other conversation, questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve Vanessa Bloom as a physical education teacher, health teacher. Thank you, Aaron. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Discussion.
This position will be the pre-K through 3rd grade, correct?
Yep.
And then also middle school health. And she's also going to serve as our varsity head volleyball coach. So similar situation. She's a little bit farther along in the process. In our conversation with her, she will actually be fully certified, I believe, this fall, October or November. At least that's what we anticipate. So.
I'll steal Larry's thunder. Any questions then with compliance, with our numbers, budgeting, finance, making sure we're in compliance?
With respect to the accountability,
yep.
I don't know, Lori, we didn't really look into that specifically. Normally what happens is they are given what's called a provisional certificate, and if they have the provisional certificate, they do count in the accountability, but we'll have to verify that for sure. We have had the discussion, and Lori said that we believe we'd be all right without it anyway, so if not, we have to adjust that.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the insurance proposal of Core Trust Insurance.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Larry. Discussion.
I would like to, last meeting when we were reviewing the proposal, we had a couple of questions. She did get back to me with cost if we change the deductible. For property deductible, if we went from $5,000 to $10,000, it would save us $1,700. And for auto, if we went from $500 to $1,000, it would save us $145 per year. So I just need to know if we should just leave as is, or if you want to change those deductible amounts.
I thought we raised our deductibles a couple of years ago to 10,000.
10,000? Oh, to property?
Yeah, or that was property.
Well, only $1,700. One claim, you make that back. I don't know if that's, you said 1,700, correct?
To go from 5
To 10, yeah.
For property.
How often do we have a property claim?
I believe the last time
2 years ago, hailstorm?
we had
We had a
hailstorm.
back to back.
Back to back.
Yeah.
But otherwise, and I don't want to say that and jinx this, but otherwise we usually don't. I mean, those are the last two claims that I can recall.
Those were roughly 2-3 years ago.
Yeah. 2015, 2016.
And the vehicle does, I mean, for $100, that doesn't seem worth
17.
doing.
17.
According to what I.
What is our, do you know what our premium is? Just that portion of the premium?
For which one?
Property? We gotta ask you some questions, Lori.
Well, you've asked enough today. Property and liability total is $68,000. And property general liability is $54,314.
No.
All the rest are like crime and fidelity,
Sure.
cyber protection, workers' comp, that kind of stuff.
So,
I think it's good just that the district patrons know that, I mean, our insurance bill is $85,000 a year. That's That's a significant amount. I mean, when you ask where the funds go, and when we have the conversation with the staff in the general fund, by the time you pay salaries, by the time you pay busing, and then, insurance, it's 90% of our general fund budget is knocked out in those three categories. All right, any further discussion? All in favor of approving the insurance proposal as presented by Core Trust Insurance and not changing our deductibles, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve supplemental budget 07-06-21.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Aaron. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion to approve surplus property bid.
So moved.
Thank you, Larry. Second.
Second.
Thanks, Joel. All right, so if you'll recall, we declared surplus property, basically an acre of land, section line 44 rods north of the southeast corner of the northeast quarter of section 26, township 119 north. It's in Clark County. I believe it is the old Blaine School District. Okay? We received one bid. Note this email was hand-delivered to the above, not emailed. Lori O'Farrell received it from Lonnie Anderson. Our bid is $3,500 an acre times 1.5 acres, equaling $5,250. Providing the school district restores the complete school site to cultivation. This area can be easily seen or viewed on Google Earth. Our alternate bid is $5,250 minus $5,000, parens our contractor site restoration cost, which would equal $250. Lonnie and Judy Anderson is their signature. Narrative. On Wednesday, May 26, 2021, I met with a contractor on site who provided a bid to restore the school site to cultivation. In my opinion, and with my construction knowledge, I believe it is a fair and reasonable bid. The bid summary for your general information is as follows. Number one, $3,500 to strip the topsoil from bury site for school rubble, excavate subsoil for rubble disposal, place rubble and backfill rubble hole and foundation site with subsoil. Replace topsoil over the rubble bury area. Number two, $800 import topsoil to cover the school building area from our property. The school site is on top of a hill with no extra topsoil available. Number three, $500 fill and reclaim the open cistern approximately 8 to 9 feet deep. See two attached pictures. $200 bury old school site garbage disposal area located off the school site on our property. Total bid $5,000. Our legal counsel asked that I remind you of the open cistern on the east side of the school foundation. I told him I thought you were probably aware of this situation. Your appraisal team for the school site, more than likely, saw the open cistern on their site visit to determine the property value. The first of the two attached pictures shows the cistern location, and the second is looking down the cistern opening to the cistern bottom. My added thoughts. My parents, Alton and Jeanette Anderson, purchased the quarter contiguous to the former Blaine Township school site in 1958. The school site then is as you see it today. Our family has ties to the school district. I graduated from Webster High in 1959, and my sister Janet in 1964. Our dad was on the school board during some of those years, serving a term as its president. The grade school and high school buildings that we went to are about not recognizable because of the many improvements and expansions. That's great, and I'm sure appreciated by former and current district students. As you can see, my, quote, thoughts, end quote, are not related to the subject of this email, but it did give me a chance to reminisce and reflect. I still remember my favorite teachers at 80 years of age. I believe
Landlocked?
it's within, it's surrounded by farmland. Here, I can send you more pictures around here, guys, that we have.
It's gotta be along the road though or something, doesn't it?
Not necessarily. Could be
Well,
off
you
to
can
the
see
side.
the road right here.
Yeah. Right there. So I think it is a little bit on top of the hill there.
But to get to it, you have to cross private property.
There, I don't
Could
know.
be a
Is there,
section line road.
is there an easement?
Well, what I'm looking at here is a deed. You're going back to 1924.
That is
The Blaine School District got it
past it.
on the 19th day of July, 1924. Elmer Johnson deeded it to him.
Highway 20.
And it's just a meets and rods description. If you will recall, the appraisal team set a value of $4,500. Now, Rodney Freeman, our legal counsel, advised us, I believe that he is a, okay, Jim. Below is the email I received from Ken Gosh, an attorney from Aberdeen, as well as the corrective email from his client regarding the legal description. Also, there are attachments showing the condition of the foundation. What I explained to Mr. Gosh, and he slightly misunderstood, that if the school no longer uses this for school purposes, it could declare it surplus, have it appraised by 3 resident voters of the school district, and then either put it up for bids, which would require 90% of the appraised value, or it could go to auction. Since I believe this property is landlocked and surrounded by Mr. Anderson's other property, it's very unlikely there would be other bids or bidders. In any event, please discuss this with the board. That was Rodney Freeman's advice to Jim back in January, and then we've kicked this can down the road and we declared it surplus property, and here's our bid. Now we have to decide what we want to do.
Well, he threw that 90% in there. How does that affect
Well, I think that is the law.
it? Yeah.
So 90% of 4,500 would be
Kick back 5.
4,050, right?
If you approve the property, they appraised it as is,
I believe so, correct?
the way it sets now with no improvement.
Correct.
And if we're gonna do 5,000, I'm just wondering if it's 90% if we're caught on something there by
I
approving the
think we are.
property and then we're stuck at 90%, or we have to auction it, even though it's landlocked. I don't know what Robbie Freeman has there, but it'd be nice to dispose of it,
But I don't know what $250 if you can.
that's the problem.
Right. So then we put it up for auction?
This is kind of the time and place that was set for bids, but then even then, if it doesn't meet the 90%,
Do we have any liability issues? I wonder.
well, that's why we also have insurance. We just covered that.
Well, if our hands are tied, they're tied. If they're not,
And I guess, to be quite frank,
I don't know.
then maybe we would, for our liability issues, is maybe we would have to hire a dump truck to take $300 worth of fill and fill a cistern. It's our property.
Yeah, I don't think we can leave it open.
I don't think you could just leave it.
If we know about it, we should fill it.
that's not a road that goes past there. That's just a section line.
I can't tell from this.
Does anybody
map.
know where it's at?
Yeah.
One map had Highway 20, just a little over half a mile from it, so it's gotta be right off the highway there, but.
It's the north half of, it's the north half of the southeast quarter section 26, township 119 north, 56 west. Yeah, it appears that it is.
What's the owner's
south
name
of,
around it?
South of Highway 20 there. Lonnie Anderson is the owner of this quarter. Lonnie and Judy Anderson, I believe. Should have sold it to Kevin Doolin when he was looking for a place. There's your acre and a half.
Well, I'm not gonna be able to find it on my deal, but.
Can you find it, Marty?
I found their house. I might have the Clark County plot book in my car.
Got a minute, we can run and get it.
I'll see if I can find it.
Again, if our hands are tied, they're tied. If they're not,
Let it go, yeah. So.
You let it go for $250.
Judging by those pictures, I don't think his bid is out of line.
$250?
No, to reclaim the site. It's maybe a little high. I shouldn't say that.
I guess my question is, I don't know if, we're supposed to sell it at 90% of the appraised value. We had 3 district patrons go out and appraise it at $4,500 as is. That'd be $4,050. His bid is $5,250, but then we spend $5,000 to reclaim it. Unless we can find somebody that can reclaim it for a better deal.
time and effort.
Then again, too, I don't think you have to sell it. It's declared as surplus property. We could also say, look, it didn't meet the bid requirements. We could go out and fill in the cistern and leave as is. Obviously, it's been there since 1924. As he states in his question, my parents, Alton and Jeanette Anderson, purchased the quarter contiguous to the former Blaine Township School District in 1958. The school site then is as you see it today. So for 63 years, it's existed in its current condition. Did everybody get to see all the pictures? Larry, Aaron?
So
there is, I'm using Onyx Hunt here, and there's a quarter owned by Lonnie Anderson. It's right off, it's on the west side. It'd be Sam Hitch. And there's Sam Hitch's place is right here.
Probably not a building.
That could be it.
Thing is, if there's a
I think the highway is actually.
And the highway is right here, 25.
Well, no, because it's in Clark County, so it'd be farther
Are you,
south
yeah,
of that.
yeah, that might be.
Is it a county road there?
Yeah, because Swan Lake's right here. It's right on the north side of Swan Lake. It's in Clark County, but this is the only thing I can find out. It's just a little. That's
There you
just a
go.
foundation. I don't know if it's it or not, but there's this old. But this shows some trees and bushes right there next to it.
As he says, it's on top of the hill.
But that's Lonnie and, no, that's Lonnie Hans.
Oh yeah, I wasn't seeing that. It's Lonnie Hans. I was thinking Anderson.
I think.
So that wouldn't be it.
No, you're on the.
You're too far north, I
south of Swan Lake.
I guess,
Question is, can we sell Highway 20?
I agree with you, Larry. So right now, according to the emails that we have,
I was thinking 20 was the one that went to.
the minimum bid needs to be 90% of the appraised value.
4,500, yeah, I agree.
So I guess I'd make a motion to reject the bids as it doesn't meet.
Reappraised or something, I don't know.
Even if we
There
wanted
wouldn't have to be any
can.
new motion, we would just call and vote, it would be a nay. on the
Okay.
Vote to approve.
Because then, if you're paying back, the way you read that, we'd have to front the money and do the work. And then he'd take possession and pay us.
Yeah, basically saying it's $250 is what the value of that is.
Or he offered 52, whatever.
If we then
was.
spend
We
$5,000.
could go down there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean that he's not fair with his price. It
Right.
just doesn't meet
Doesn't meet the standards.
our ham, our time.
So, if we're, right now, the way it sounds, that just because we don't believe it is meeting the requirements of the 90%, I would say it would be a nay vote is what the board is saying. Let's call the question first, all right? All in favor of accepting the, well, first of all, of accepting the bid of $5,250 on the condition that the Webster Area School District spend $5,000 to restore the site, say aye. All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion does not carry. Motion to accept the alternate bid of $250. Say aye. All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion does not carry. All right, with that being said, that we're not accepting any of the motions, do we want to find somebody to fill the cistern and at least be done with any liability issues and move on from there?
Joel, would you fill it or would you just knock it in? I mean, someone go out there with a backhoe, knock it in, and take 10 minutes, take longer to unload the
Right.
backhoe than it is.
Yep.
It's our property, we can access it.
We can.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's off this section line road, which I believe it is compared with the maps we've got here, yeah, we can access it, it's right there. And we can go on to our acre.
Tom, can we go enter into a negotiation now that we have opened the property up for bids? Can we go down and negotiate with the landowner and just say that, you know, look, we don't meet the requirements, what can we do to work together?
Well, I think realistically, yeah, it's not necessarily a negotiation, but there can be conversations because we can always reopen the bid and he can always adjust his bid. There can always be give and take in conversations. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
If you auction it, you accept whatever bid?
I think it's got to be that 90% appraised value.
I'd like to get a clarification on
I think there
I
is
agree,
an
Larry.
issue on that.
If we could get a clarification on the 90% rule from Rodney, that'd be good.
that. Yeah, then we could dispose of it easily.
And maybe just run him through the scenario here that, you know, of what's happened and what can and can't we do.
All right, I'll give all of this stuff. Jim, do you want to have this for your conversation with Rodney?
Sure.
All right.
What was the section?
I did not.
26. It's the south half of northeast quarter, section 26, 119.56.
He might be watching.
Mike. All right, motion to approve after-school transportation Tabor Church. Thank you, Aaron. Second?
Second.
Discussion.
Is that the 500 they'd asked for?
Approximately $500 is what the cost would be for transportation for students from the school building down to Tabor Church. And the reason we needed to make a decision based on it is, are we setting precedents? The only thing that I would throw out that I thought of differently since we last met is we probably could be okay if we're talking about, if we contributed that much, decided to as a board, as long as you're dealing with a nonprofit. This is a nonprofit after-school program, and so that would differ than from most that would request transportation if they're doing it as a daycare / after-school program in the private business.
And this isn't a contractual thing. I mean, if the numbers aren't there and we deem it's not efficient, we can stop it, right?
Yeah.
Do you know when the last time you spoke with anybody from Tabor on that?
No, I haven't spoken to them differently, other than I said we can make sure that transportation can occur, but I never made any indication we were paying for it. Is that, yeah, transportation can occur.
Because I do believe they've been looking at some grant opportunities for this issue. I wonder if we shouldn't at least table it 1 month just to find out for sure where they're at on that. Because I do know they, at least one of the individuals involved in that reached out to me with some questions as to grants. I don't know if they're going to apply, but maybe that's worth trying to find out the answer before we open that can of worms.
Would they think that that would be a separate bus, or would they be hitching a ride on the bus that goes by?
It would be one or two of the current route buses.
So they'd just be stopping by on their way.
Technically, they don't go out there first. They usually got to go up in the Terry's edition and then go out. So there would be some. If they
Would there be any rules?
if they went directly down there, they would come off the route, come back on, and then go the right thereafter. Which is probably what they would want to do because they want fewer kids on the bus.
Money isn't that problem.
It'd be nice to find out if they are doing any of those grant issues. Because we can still fix this here yet if we, or not fix it, address it here at July. I would recommend we table just to find out where they're at on that.
It'd almost be like a co-op then, if we put money in.
It could be considered that. All in favor of tabling this issue until next month, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to amend the 2021-2022 calendar year for prom.
We have a conflict with one of our advisors to be able to even be present the entire week. That week she works for the state Department of Ed and had asked if we could change it. I did look at the calendar. We looked at 2 or 3 dates, and the best date that we thought would work both for the school as well as for her would be April 1st. I don't have anything scheduled for the in-service, so there's no conflict with changing a presenter or anything like that. And so we're requesting to change the calendar so that rather than having the in-service on the 16th or whatever it is, it would actually be moved to April 1st, a Friday. We'd have an in-service, so there's no school, and that would be the day of the prom.
Does that affect any of the area schools? With the date change, with their schedules, with their prom?
I'm gonna be honest, why would we care?
No, I'm just.
Well, we're gonna take some heat over this, Dr. Block, and I would have liked to have had a little heads up on this before right now. I mean, just to look at a calendar and changing prom will be a big deal.
Think so?
I do.
That's why I'm asking to do it in June, prior to the school year starting.
Yeah, I don't know,
Your other option is to say no, we go forward, we have one advisor that takes care of it that year, and I don't know what we do with the advisor that can't be there.
So it's originally scheduled for April 15th.
Yeah, I believe so.
Sure, that'd be it.
Okay.
Nothing says like pay your taxes and pay for your kids to go to prom.
I'm not that passionate about the prom when you talk about whether or not it affects other proms. I mean, good Lord, if we're gonna worry about when somebody else has a prom in another town, we're never gonna find a date that works.
15th.
So.
Right now it's April 15th.
We're talking, yeah.
If it's the first.
So that
it'd be
would fit
two
into
Fridays.
Easter weekend quite
That's Good
nice.
Friday.
Is that Good Friday?
Oh, it is. I'll look it up.
Yeah, we want to make sure on
First is Good Friday,
The 15th.
that. 15th.
15th. We should know that.
And I'm also gonna be honest and say, we've already wasted too much time on a prom date. I'm just being honest, folks. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but
Well, here
it's June 2021, and we're talking about prom in the spring of 22.
I think
Nonetheless.
prom is April 8th, isn't it? I have a 21-22 calendar unless it was changed from what we had.
So
in
maybe
our
it's just in
board
1
packet.
week, the 8th?
Yeah, I think it's just 1 week. We could
Okay.
look at, I think we were gonna look at the week after, the week before, and we figured the week after would cause too many conflicts with
That would make sense because
indoor track and this and that and everything else that might come up, so we just thought, there's always a chance you might have snow on April 1st, but. it
Chance
could
on May
rain.
1st too?
We've had snow in late April as well, so.
15th is Good Friday.
Well,
yeah, April 15th
8th is
is
in
good.
service, no school prom. That's what it said as.
Oh,
So we could do April 1st. Well, how about we do this? Good news is it's out on Bearcat TV. I'm confident that John will have that as his primary headline. Prom date, April 2022 in question, and we will be able to hear from anybody if they have an issue. But I do think it's important that if our primary advisor that operates the prom can't be there on April 8th, we need to change it because I don't see anybody else necessarily stepping up into that role. So I guess what it would come down to, if we're all in agreement, next month, unless we hear major heartburn the other way, prom is going to get changed to April 1st. Is that a fair statement, gentlemen?
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, giving everybody a good heads up and speak now or forever hold your peace by July 12th, right, Lori? Is that our next meeting, July 12th?
Yes.
Here we go. All right. So we'll table that to the 12th. Motion to approve South Dakota High School activity ballots.
So moved.
Thanks, Aaron. Second.
Second.
Thanks, Marty. Discussion.
Athletic Director Adam Mice has recommended voting for Palmer and Denny.
Any discussion, gentlemen?
Did he say why?
So I did not ask him that, I just asked for his recommendation.
I know both candidates personally, and I can vouch for both of them. If
The
that
ones
means anything.
that Adam has recommended.
All right, any other questions? All in favor of approving Mr. Palmer and Mr. Denny for our South Dakota High School Activities Association ballot, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, discussion item, Superintendent Report, Dr. Block.
The first item that I have is just an FYI. The German exchange group has requested to do a fundraiser down at the football field this coming season. I believe what they want to do is get some of those large tables that are from cables and have advertising. Yeah, the schools have advertising on it. They want to sell advertising for that and have people that can stand at those tables with their concession stand food and things like that. I didn't believe that it was going to be an issue, but they wanted me to run it by the board to see if there'd be any concerns or questions. So I told them I'll mention it to you guys, but I don't think it's going to be anything to actually take action on. It's a fundraiser. Typically, we take care of those. The teacher recognition plaques. If you recall, I had an individual contact me earlier this last school year regarding getting some plaques for teachers that would have been here in the time of the late 50s, early 60s, to recognize some influential people that had worked here. He has gone forward with that, and I gave him the go-ahead to do that, and they want to place these plaques on some posts along the retaining wall. I did explain to him that there might be some changes with the retaining wall, either in repairs or some other construction, but they will have them delivered and installed, so there's no cost to the school district. I've talked with Mike Niggy to make sure that the installation is where we want it, so that it doesn't become an issue with maintenance, mowing, and trimming, those types of things. So they're forthcoming. I believe they're going to show up sometime this summer, so I wanted you to be aware that that will happen. I don't know if this gentleman will contact Reporter Farmer and ask them to do a story or anything on it, but when they do arrive, I'll let you guys know. So that and he's hoping that maybe it will incite a little bit more inspiration to do that in addition for other folks.
Do you know how many plaques there are, Jim?
I want to say 9.
Wow.
And it includes longtime administrators and some longtime teachers, but it also includes some teachers that were not here very long, but were very influential and actually went on to have very good careers in education. So they were very influential for the time that they were here. And it includes folks from as ag teacher to English to math. So the next item that I have on here is the return to the school plan. I'm reviewing the plan. In order for us to qualify for the ESSER funds in the future, we have to have 2 things in place. A plan to return to school for the previous year that we just finished, and that plan is in place. It was approved by the board, not officially approved by the board, but you guys went through the process of re-putting it together. And so we've got that dated as of, I think, August of 2020. There's a checklist that they've provided from the Department of Ed to make sure that we meet the criteria that is expected at the federal level. And I'm pleased to say that the majority of what we have in the plan is what we need. There are a couple of things. We don't have to edit the plan from the previous year. We just have to have that plan in place. And then as we move forward, I have to have a plan officially approved by you folks in August. I hope to have I'll have the first version for you guys to see in July, and then we can approve it in August. I really, truly don't believe that there's going to be a lot of changes in it, other than how we're going to deal with COVID in the future. And when I say that, what I'm going to recommend or put in the plan is that we're going to follow CDC guidelines with respect to what the cases are like in our area, which is what we did this year. We'll have to address whether we're going to require masks, do masks the same way, or relieve ourselves from masks until we need to wear them, that type of thing. We have to answer the question as a school district: are we going to allow the distance learning option like we did during the 2021 school year as COVID progresses or maybe goes away? I'm going to tell you personally, my recommendation as an administrator to start out is that I would like us to return to normal as possible. and not extend that. I just believe that the best education is in-house. And so that's where I'm at with it right now, and we can discuss that a little bit more as it goes forward. So I'll just continue to work on that stuff over the summer. They're tying that type of plan and what we do for procedures to the ESSER funds. And so I'm going to make sure that we, number one, we have those things in place for the safety of our kids and our staff, but also to make sure that we're following the guidelines that's expected of us as a school. Any questions regarding that, or even if you have comments or suggestions about the plan, just something I can jot down to keep note of while I'm going through that stuff?
No, I think it's changing quite a bit right now, Jim. I mean, just with how the guidance has come out in a good way, and I think last year how it worked really well for the school. I mean, all things considered, the number of issues that could have popped up with COVID, I thought were pretty small in comparison to what you heard from other districts and how we ran our facilities and our sports. And didn't hear that much of complaints from parents, considering everything. I thought it was good. So I think we're on the right track. If we can keep it that way, it'd be nice.
I will throw this out too, if you're interested in reviewing that information with me, or a couple of you want to be on the committee, I'd be happy to have other people
in town
reviewing it if you would like. I mean, I'm just throwing. I'm not trying to be smart or anything, but just if somebody's truly got a passion for it, you want to talk about it and review it. I mean, I'd be open to that.
You were just the closest, Marty.
No, I think back to as normal as we can get is the right answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my hope and prayer. The next item that I have on here is I provided you guys a list or an example of this. Is the evaluation for professional staff. This is an edit to our current policy. And this is sort of a first reading. I noticed on the policy, if you look at the back, apparently I didn't put the date back in 2013 when we actually adopted it, because it doesn't have an adopted date on it. But nonetheless, this is the items that are crossed out are things that I'm suggesting we take out, and then the items that are highlighted are the things that we put back in or put into the policy. So it's very minor changes to our overall evaluation policy. Now with that, and I didn't make copies of this because I'm still drafting it, but I have put together the evaluation for professional staff. As you recall, I met with a small committee of staff members that included both secondary and elementary, new and veteran staff, regarding alternative activities that we can do in off years, is what I will call it. Tenured teachers only have to be officially observed and evaluated every other year according to state requirements. And so it's been my recommendation, my hope, that we can have an alternate activity in off years. I'd like to split our veteran or our tenured teachers into groups of two, where the first year we'd have about half of those teachers that would be on the alternate option, and then the next year the other half would be in every other year. So we can kind of keep it balanced. We don't have the majority of our staff wanting to go do a peer review or something like that all in the same year every year. I have come up with 4 different, and I say this is with our committee, 4 different activities that they could participate in. A professional growth plan, which is going to be based on the framework for teaching. That's what we use for our observation process anyway. There are 4 domains that go with effective teaching, and 22 components within those domains. It's basically a way for teachers to look at it and say, you know what, I'd like to work on something within the effective teaching process during this year. They set some goals with the effective teaching process, come up with some strategies, and then reflect on it at the end of the year. The second item that I have is goal setting. This would be more for maybe enhancing the classroom with different activities or different things that they can do in the classroom that might not necessarily be associated with the framework of teaching, not the specific components. And just some examples of that might be, how can I work more effectively with at-risk or gifted and talented students? How can we incorporate social and emotional skills in the classroom? That's a huge topic with this whole COVID thing. Is everybody mentally okay and emotionally okay? Maybe hands-on activities, school to work concepts. There's all kinds. I've got 4 different bullets with probably 15 different samples. These are just examples that they can use. The third option that they could look at is a professional development activity. We do a book review typically in-house, in which I coordinate it, and then I can offer credit through one of the universities, and our teachers can get a 1 credit for doing our book review. That's typically required. This would be above and beyond our normal book review if they did it. Or they could do a literature review if they wanted to read some research articles or educational articles that they might be able to enhance something within their classroom. It also includes that peer classroom observation that I had mentioned just a few moments ago. It's possible maybe an elementary teacher would like to come to the secondary end and view what we do on the secondary end and view something that a teacher does, or vice versa. Or if they know somebody that's a quality teacher in another district, they could maybe take the day, go and visit. These are the things that we had talked about originally from the get-go. And then the fourth option is continuing education. Our teachers are constantly working on continuing education. And like the book review, we've always required it, and it was once I earned my doctorate that I started allowing us to gain credit for it. If you're going to do the work, why not? They pay $45 to the University of Sioux Falls or Northern, and they get credit for it. Those are opportunities that they're constantly working to stay up with what's going on in education, and they also have to earn credits. And so I think there's some opportunities there for when teachers are doing some things during the school year above and beyond what they do on a daily basis. Maybe that's an opportunity that we can use as part of their evaluation process. So those are the 4 things that I have. And then I did come up with sheets where you have the fall proposal sheet and then the spring reflection sheet. And I basically just, the information that I had was from the Watertown School District, Aberdeen School District, and there were some ideas that came from the Hammond policy. So I've got it kind of all in place and ready to go. This is kind of the first reading, and then I'd like to be able to approve it in July so that in August we can start with the staff. Worst case scenario is if we could get it going in August so that I can provide it to them at the beginning of the school year. And it could even go beyond that, because if we did it in August, I could provide it in September to them. So, any questions or comments about that?
Sounds good to me, Jim. I like it that we're trying something different and changing it up. And if you're working with that committee, I think it's a good plan.
Okay. The next thing that I have on my list here is ESSER 2 and the ARP. The ARP, I don't know what it stands for, but it's the ESSER 3 funds. There's so many acronyms, it's tough to keep up with. We have still not heard anything regarding our application for ESSER 2. It has moved through the chains, I believe, to at least beyond the initial approval with Laura Scheibe, I think is the first level for us. She did send us an email and said that she will pass it on to the next level. We haven't heard in superintendent's meetings, in webinars, or Lori, have you heard anything with business managers meeting regarding when we might hear? There's just not a lot of information. I think they're a little overwhelmed with the amount of applications that they're reviewing and the different things that are in each application. And the same goes for the ESSER 3. I don't know when the actual application is due. We'll be finding that out. I do know that the initial return to school plan for this 2021-22 school year, I do know that is due in August. And so that's one of the initial process or steps for that. So unless you have questions, I really don't have any other information on the ESSER funds right now.
The only questions I have on the ESSER funds come in more also with our capital outlay discussion and the buildings and grounds discussion. So I can wait till we hit it there at the end and then maybe cover everything all at once, if that's okay.
Yep. There has been discussion as to whether or not you can use these funds for construction. There are lots of schools that are wanting to do it for HVAC, construction and some other things. And so the Department of Ed and Department, I don't know what other department at the state level, they're trying to figure out exactly what is allowable according to the federal law.
Well, since you're bringing it up, then so my question is, like, part of that 20% has to be return to learning? Is that for the ESSER 3?
Of the ESSER 3, and we have to have 20% of the ESSER 3 funds that must go towards lost learning.
Lost learning.
I don't know if that's as simple as saying, you know, we're going to get updated computers, which has better accessibility and da-da-da-da. I don't know if it's that simple, or if we need to look at curriculum, possibly our reading series or math series, or if we have to have, you know, $100,000 spent in summer programs. That is also why I sent out the survey to the parents. I was a little disappointed that our Aptigee push method I was not able to send it to phone numbers. So I was disappointed in that. And I have my wife, tech coordinator, working on that, trying to figure out, are we allowed to do that during the summer? Is there a break time where they don't allow it, or is there something not working? But I was only able to send it out with a push notice on our website and I think through Facebook. And so some people are getting it, some are not. My intent is that everybody that has a phone number listed in Infinite Campus will get that eventually.
Are you getting any people returning responses?
Yeah, I knew you would ask that. And I was going to look today. I did not. I can before the meeting.
No, that's fine.
I did to see if there's some responses. So I made a response too, so I know at least one's there.
There's two there, though. Did you, Tom?
I don't think I got it. If I did,
I found it on Facebook.
You would not have received it at your cell number, so you're off the hook until I can get that taken care of. At any rate, I made a survey for teachers and paras because they're very similar. They work with students, and I asked, you know, them different questions regarding student progress, student achievement, and where we're at with that. And then I had a different staff survey for those that are kitchen staff and custodial staff. Wanted to know what kind of an impact it had on their jobs, that type of thing. And then the third survey was, I call it to parents/students, but technically it's to the parents regarding their children and as students. If a student that's 18 wants to fill it out, have at it. I would appreciate it if one of our seniors told us whether things were good, bad, or ugly, you know, with respect to what we did during the COVID situation and where they're at with their achievement. So I would be welcome to that as well.
I'll hit it when we get to the capital outlay.
That's ongoing.
Yep. Okay.
I believe that's it. This I can hand out during buildings and grounds. So.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Block. Principal report, Mr. Case.
I come back to give you some information on our reading curriculum. As I told you, we're under review because the Pearson one, the Reading Street series that we had is up. Our contract is done. So our teachers have investigated some different companies and they've decided to go with Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. And we did get the first quote back and it was like an eye-opener. And we had budgeted $70,000 for it. Came back at $114,000. So we took a look at it, dissected it, brought it back to the teachers, and we looked at, is there some fluff in that curriculum that we can get rid of? So they dissected it, took a look at it, we got it back down. I just got the report back from the executive, so we're looking more at, he thinks he can get it around $80,000 now. So it's just a little bit up from 70, so that would have to be adjusted on the budget.
Well, since you brought it up, Craig, I mean, my question when I first saw the capital outlay budget, you know, 60,000 2 years, figure it must be 120 in what we budgeted. Obviously, this is a different type of curriculum than what we had in the past, correct?
It's fairly similar. It has the digital component, so this is grades K through 5. It does not include grade 6. So it does have the digital component on there, which we did save some money, or that's how we reduced the quote down, because some of the teachers will just use the digital part and not get the hard copies sent to us. So it does come with reading and some textbooks. So it is similar, but this is an 8-year contract too, keep that in mind. So we go, the 80,000 or whatever it comes out to be 83, we don't have a final count on it yet. We'll go 8 years before we have to decide again. It's not 80,000 every year.
So if it has more of a digital component, can that fit with lost learning?
We hope.
We hope.
Okay, so then if we could, I mean, then we could do the full 115, just do it all in one shot under our ESSER, is that 3 funds? I mean, wouldn't that be kind of the layup for us?
And my question was gonna be, is there anything lost in the learning, not having all of the?
Because I'd rather do the whole thing.
You know, if we cut some fluff out, is that what you're asking?
Well, I mean, you know, I'm a paper guy.
Yeah.
So, if we're taking that away from the students, are we taking away any potential learning? Marty, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right, if you look at the digital component, there's still the option to print them off.
Okay.
But then that would come at the expense of us using the printer and the copy.
Sure.
The printers.
I would argue this, and I would use these phrases in our application, is that if we went with the basic of $80,000, we're providing what we believe is a quality program and a quality curriculum. Anything above and beyond that is an enhancement. And enhancements, in my opinion, would certainly help take care of any learning loss, whether it's a gifted child or even a student that's frustrated or challenged.
Which we have to do the whole thing in order to fit it under the learning loss. Let's do the whole program versus just the 80,000, because that's where you're picking up the extras, and now it fits into the ESSER 3 fundology, however you call it.
And as Mr. Case mentioned to me today, I mean, it's great when you can get something for a better price, but my first concern was, let's not cut out too much where we're losing some of that technology and that enhancement that it really isn't helping us with learning loss. It's just giving us what we currently have in a new version.
So then my question is, can we, let's say these ESSER 3 funds don't come until September 15th, October 15th, November 15th, whatever the date is. Can we make it through this year with our current reading program and still put this down then for ESSER 3 funds in the following year? Or we supplement our budget whenever we get the ESSER 3 funds? I mean, is that a possibility?
With the current reading program that we had, we lost the digital component to it. The Pearson, it's gone. I had to beg and plead. They were going to stop it at Christmas time.
So if it's gone, then we're definitely replacing it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So then it should fit the ESSER 3, correct?
I think you just do it.
I would
But
think
not
so.
if you do it within our
My only question
budget.
is with ESSER 3, we need to find out is, you know, like with ESSER 2, they let us go back for expenditures
Right,
back to
don't.
March 20th. What if we purchase it
And
and
they
then
say-
they say, well, you've already purchased it, now you can't use it?
But I will say, as a superintendent, I don't want us making a decision about curriculum based on whether, I know it's a lot of money, but folks, we could be delaying an entire year of reading curriculum using an old system.
So what's the drop dead date that we'd have to know before we pull the trigger on it?
Drop dead date for the new curriculum? Or? I don't know. I mean,
Well, you'd have to get it
we have-
ordered and get it here and have, I mean, there would have to be some training in August for them to start using it.
So we have at least another month.
Right.
How much of it is hard copy and how much of it's digital?
You know, when the teachers dissected it, some will be getting more hard copy than others. So I'd have to go through the detailed list to take a look.
And I would just wonder how long it would take that hard copy stuff to get here. That'd be, you know, as a teacher, I wouldn't want to be getting something
In September.
Yeah, in
During
September,
school.
you know, right when school starts and you're trying to get everything else ready, and here's this new curriculum, and haven't used it before. The first time you go through any of that stuff, it's a learning process as you teach through that stuff. It's nice to have it somewhat ahead of time so you can at least be on top of it when you start.
When I spoke to him, because I was actually looking at, and I spoke to one of our truckers here in town, that if we can save on shipping, because shipping was outrageous. So I said, what if we have one of our guys stop in Chicago and pick it up and bring it back? So he looked into it and he said it's a possibility, but the trucker that I was talking to, he has a sealed trailer, so he can't open it. So he said, well, I can put it in my sleeper. So I spoke to the rep from HMH, and he said, no, it wouldn't fit in there. So to answer your question, there must be a lot of hard copy material coming.
Got an RV, Larry?
So he did give me a discount on the shipping. Cut it down to 6%, which is good.
Well,
We can find out about the
but-
ESSER funds. They may already have that answer.
If we could, I mean, and then maybe if we're not doing it with the reading, is next year math up, science? Is there something else that we could be fitting in under this? Because 115,000, I respect 100% where the staff says, hey, we want this sooner rather than later. But I gotta throw out, staff would also respect that if we can get $115,000 covered by federal funds rather than local taxpayer funds, I mean, that would be a home run. And get the whole entire system, not just half.
And going back to when I spoke to him, he said, you know, it sounded like they'd have it ready in July. That would be, they could come through and pick it up in Chicago in July and have it here.
When did you talk to him?
Actually, today I was visiting with them.
I'd just wait a month. I mean, it's COVID. Things change fast, either slow and fast, and we don't know.
So if, you know, one part of that curriculum too, you look at the ELA part of it, which I'm not sure how much that was, but that's a component that we really don't need right now because our ELA students, you know, English learners is what I'm saying. We're minute, we're very small right now. So that's a component, you know, that I'm not sure how much we cut out of it.
I mean, I know I'm catching you flat-footed, but is our math or science, because we just did history, didn't we? Wasn't that like last year's books we just bought new was, I thought, social studies history? And like science was maybe a couple of years before that, math was even before that?
I'd have to look at that.
We'd have to go back and look.
You know, actually, the reading program that we had was Reading Street, and our teachers liked it so much. If we could have kept going with them, we would have done that because it was a good program. But Pearson, it's just gone now. So we can't continue it. So we adopted that back in 2013. And I think that was a 6 or a 7-year contract, so we extended it a couple of years.
Well, if we even have to have a special meeting on something like that with ESSER's, I mean, let's do whatever we can to see if we can take advantage of that. Okay. What else you got, Mr. Case?
The other part is about buildings and grounds. Well, I can bring it up now. I'm not sure what we have for buildings and grounds, but I wasn't at the last meeting, but ISG brought up the playground issue with the P-rock being out there and the fall surface and everything. I think that is a huge issue, and I talked to Dr. Block, and I'd like to recommend, and I'm getting some bids on flex fiber, which is something that could go in there and replace the P-rock and be a safe fall for the kids. So I did get an estimate, and we're looking at, you know, $55,000 to $6,000 in there for that. But I haven't received an estimate back yet for, we gotta remove the P-rock, take it out, and then the shipment will come in with the flex fiber, and then we'd have to put it back in.
We got a cistern we can dump the P-rock in.
You know, the P-rock, when it mixes, I mean, Joel, you know this, when it mixes with certain material, it's almost like concrete. And we've had some wood fibers, and it's just compacting and compacting. And we were doing it because it was an efficient and probably economical thing to put in there, but it doesn't meet the official standards of what you should have for a fall platform or fall surface on playgrounds.
You got parking lots out here, you can scatter that P-rock around and get rid of it, too.
The only thing I'd worry about, though, if we did do, would we be putting something in and then have it promptly destroyed if we did construction in that area?
That's something we would need to, consider.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we want to pull the trigger on something and then have it there for in 1 year, 8 months, and then it's gone.
In my quote, I'm just talking about, I got the quote just for the playground area with the black borders out there, the apparatus where the swing is and they can climb around. That does not include the swings area. So it's just
up
that
in
far
there.
southwest corner that we're talking about.
Okay.
My concern is, you know, it's getting hard out there, and if we do have some kiddos fall, that, you know, I want that safety barrier in there, you know, for the safety of the kids.
Sounds good. Any other questions for Mr. Case? Let's just address it here at the, I mean, we'll have to approve that at the July meeting with our capital outlay budget, but. Okay.
Yeah, those are the only two things. Driver's ed is kind of wrapping up with Mr. Nygaard and myself. He's been putting in many hours driving. Goes from 7 in the morning till 7 o'clock at night, and we had 40 in the classroom. And he'll be done this Sunday, and I won't be done driving until the following Monday. I will be done. Been going pretty good with driver's ed, so that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Case. NESC.
I just have two items. The leadership transition is taking place. Jerry is still working. He was here even as recent as last week, doing interviews for paraprofessionals for our center base and the Andrea Powell. I have not participated in the meeting. There's a meeting next Monday. It's you that's still, you're still on the hook until July's meeting. It changes. And so one of the things that was mentioned at our last meeting was I found it interesting is the number of SPED students within our co-op. This is co-op wide. We've got 24 districts, and the number of SPED students has been increasing at a higher rate than the general population of students. We have some schools that actually have increasing enrollment. We're not one of those students or one of those schools, but and what I found interesting is that our co-op was actually lower with the percentage of special ed students to general students. We're actually now catching up to the rates that the state sees statewide. And I don't know why, that just kind of caught me by surprise. I thought we were probably already there, but it's something you're seeing, the changing dynamics of the student population is you're seeing more and more. We have better testing, better assessments. There's a lot more services that can be provided, so there's reasons for it. So anyway, just a piece of information.
Have they found any, do you know if they found any new pairs for Bill?
He has, he did ask Mr. Case and myself if we had any references on one of the candidates, but I didn't know. I didn't either, so.
Okay.
I know that he had an interview and he had at least one candidate. I don't, he have 2 positions open?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Buildings and grounds.
Yeah, who knows how long this conversation could go. This is just a bit of information. After our last board meeting, you asked Lori and me to kind of find out what we could find out for the roof. And so she dug through the files that she had, and I dug through the notes that I had, which I did not really have much. And so this is just a summary of our roof projects. It's as accurate as we can determine with what we have for information in the office. Because I've now made this chart and I've got it in my network file, I'll just keep updating that as we do changes. Or whenever we have some issue with a roof, a repair, or a replacement. I somewhat remember, I was not the superintendent, but I do somewhat remember the roof replacement for the middle school in 2003. Again, I wasn't the superintendent at the time, but I do recall us doing that project, and I do recall us putting rocks on top of the the old vocational, I had never seen rocks on a roof before, and so that one, and I believe that was in, do I have that on here? It's unknown, but I know that that has occurred since I arrived here as a principal in 2001. It's been in the last 20 years. But I have no idea if they did anything with the surface underneath the rocks, or if they just replaced the rocks, or what they did. So. And the roof type, this is not accurate. There's different types. That gentleman from ISG was talking about adhered and this and that. I don't know those. I will, as we learn more about our roofs, and I can contact ISG and just ask them for the specifics, so we know what the technical names are for those for the roof type. Moving on to the other part, spoke with Patty Munson regarding the project. What she needs us to do now is, as a district, is basically said, we need to come up with our finite priorities, needs and wants, and we have to eventually come up with a project or construction budget, and from there she will start the schematics of what can and can't happen based on the estimates per square foot of what you're doing for construction. And so Joel and Larry and I met, was that yesterday or the day before, whenever, and I was able to contact Toby Morris. He's the financial guru from the securities company in Pierre, and he said that the next step with respect to him and how this process normally works is he will come here and share with you as a board and the public in an open session as to what we can afford and what we can look towards for what might be accepted and or supported within our district. And so that's the next thing. That's where we kind of come up with, well, not kind of, we'll come up with a budget that we believe is doable with respect to some future projects. And so of course I didn't write that down, but I sent you guys an email. I had two reply. July 6th.
It's a Tuesday, correct?
It's a Tuesday evening.
5:30. Yeah. He had some conflicts before that week and after that week, and we're trying to get it so that we can maybe do something before our July meeting. And he said he could make that work, and I said, I'll see what I can do with our board.
I'll be able to tell you tomorrow. Okay. I'm waiting on a call back on one issue.
That's just the next step. You know, we as the committee didn't want to come to the board and you know, try to recommend a number. We want to have Toby come in and help us come up with that number. And so but it is important that we get this meeting in and that we start having that conversation so that Patty can continue on with her portion of the project. Isn't that right, Larry?
Yep.
So it's just the next step.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a lot more.
Well, there is, but
I'll just sit here and okay.
We just don't know anymore until we have that meeting
Yeah,
with Toby. I mean, we could sit here and talk all night about it, but there's nothing to talk about until we have the facts and the figures in front of us.
And Patty had some suggestions with, maximizing the use of particular facilities, things like that. Those are all things that we can talk about when we kind of know, okay, this is what we can't afford, what we want to afford, what we believe we can afford, and start from there. But I like where she goes with those items because it really is trying to share spaces for multiple programs and maximize the use of the facilities. And sometimes it depends on where they're located for that. So those were just a couple of suggestions that she had made. And at the end of her paragraph, she goes, okay, I'm rambling, I need to stop, and we'll call it sometime and talk. So.
Okay. So basically, just meet with Toby's our next step, and anything else we need to be doing in the meantime?
Are you gonna look for candidates, or?
For the committee?
Oh, yeah, there's, absolutely.
That would be the next step that we can work on.
I have a list, and we have like 8 or 9 different categories. And when I said, okay, maybe 1 to 2 here, 1 to 2 there, we could be looking at anywhere from 10 to 14 committee members. I will be contacting, just as an example, I'll contact each one of our career and tech ed teachers, the ag, the construction, and FACS, and ask them to perhaps have one of their advisory committee members serve on this committee to talk about it, so that they've got some input and some knowledge and some.
I've got my list here. Should I just kind of go over
Yeah.
our ideas? Was we would want to get, a member from the fine arts community, a member from the FACS community, a member from the ag community, a member from the workforce development community, a business rep from, say, the development corporation, a community member, or city council, go through the city council to get the city on board with the community, and then find an egg producer or two. So we'll kind of get a little bit of everybody involved in the process.
Medical? Got a lot
Very
of people
good.
that do CNA, out there, and I think,
That wasn't on our list.
don't we have a bio, what's that
Yes.
class that Ms. Center teaches? I think it's pretty popular.
Hopefully,
Biomed.
Hopefully Isaac's not watching the meeting right now.
Are there any other ideas?
You said wrestling, right?
No.
I think wrestling, I think they should have somebody probably.
Well, we don't know yet, what we're gonna do for a project.
Right.
Any input is welcome, of course.
Right. And you don't want to get too many people.
Yeah.
You can always add later on. It's probably a good list right there.
This would address the CTE portion of the project. Then once we know, yes, we can add to it from there, once we know which direction the project's going.
It's important to note too, and I neglect to state these things. Our biomedical class is an approved career cluster program with the career and tech ed, as well as our multimedia and our art. The art is, well, I don't know if that one's an approved program, but we have courses that fit into those clusters. And so it isn't always just those three that we keep talking about. There are other programs that certainly fit into it.
I think it's pretty good. Larry and Joel, Jim, everything you guys are putting together, I think it's great. Just keep moving with that line of march. And if there's anything else we need to do, let us know. Anything else we need to be doing other than that?
Not right now, no. That next meeting is gonna be very crucial, and then we can move on and take the next step after that, so.
Sounds good.
I'll keep working on finding out information with respect to the construction, but I did contact Rob Hoffman yesterday, and I think I mentioned earlier tonight that the HVAC and the career and tech ed, if we can justify it, those are likely going to be allowable expenditures. And then I also contacted the Rossel superintendent. They applied for a workforce grant, and that's a timing situation. Workforce grants become available in January. You can't apply for them before you start construction or other different things like that. But they were able to get a $225,000 workforce grant for, it's almost half of their career and tech ed building that they're building.
And isn't that what we lost out on at our current CTE building? Because
Yes,
we
because
started
we started construction.
and posted on
or
Facebook.
Updates prior.
And that was $180,000.
We have their narrative and their wording, so, we're gonna beg, steal, and borrow from successful grants if we can, so.
One other thing I am gonna throw out there, and I'm gonna say this cautiously, but Patty had made the comment to Jim about thinking, 20, 30 years down the road and thinking big picture. That is our job as board members, to be looking at this big picture.
Absolutely.
And we've had a lot of ideas thrown at us. We don't know where we're going with this project, but we do need to be thinking with that 20 to 30 year window, because that's what we're building for. And so does that mean, is it a wise investment? If we were to ever get to extra gym space, is the investment better spent at the Armory, or is it better spent on campus? That's looking at it through that 10,000 foot view, and we just need to be thinking that way. I thought that was a interesting statement that she made to you, and after you said that to me, that's really stuck with me. That we can't be thinking about today, tomorrow, we gotta be looking down the road too, so.
Anything else, Larry?
No, just listening.
Okay. Jim, anything else on buildings and grounds?
No, not that I can recall right now, so.
Okay. Well, hot dog preliminary budget, one of our favorite conversations. Lori, you handed out our capital outlay fund budget. Why don't we just turn it over to you and kind of hit some of the high points if you want to?
Okay, so, basically what we have in the capital outlay budget now, it's things that, staff, teachers, custodians have requested. You know, we're looking to minimize spending because we do have these goals of this project in mind, but we also have to still do, you know, we have to maintain their facilities. The very first page is capital outlay revenue. At this time, until I'm directed otherwise from the board, I have just put in the same tax call that we had as of last year. So that's some discussion we can talk about. Towards the end, you have to remember they changed the law on the capital outlay revenue. There's two different ways, and the state, you know, they determine which way we can, what we can call for. So that's a little bit different, you know, law in the last couple of years. And I did include that page back towards the end, and we've had this discussion before. But the maximum, and now this year, moving forward, because our enrollment has declined, they've moved us to the other category for our tax call. And so the maximum that we can request moving forward is 1.734 million. I do have to, and we've talked about this before also, but you know, it's a few months in between. Because we do have debt that was issued prior to 2016, if we do need more than that, we can call extra for that debt call. So I just want to throw that out there so everybody remembers that. Okay, so that's all for the revenue. And
does that 2016 money expire?
What's that?
When you can call for that 2016? Is there a sunset on that, those funds?
I think it's when the debt, you can call to it up until the time the debt disappears, correct?
So now, like, you know, the debt that we just paid off, obviously our amount we can call for has decreased because of that. Yeah, it's just the amount of debt, our debt payment for the year. And so I don't know, I'm not gonna go through this line by line unless you want to.
Lori, I think it's self-explanatory. I mean, I think let's just kick right in, because right now, we're at right now, the instructions we've given you, and I think what you've presented is a 0% increase in the capital outlay budget. And I think that's the most important issue that we need to knock out, you know, before we go any further. Is that what we're still comfortable with? A 0% increase this year?
I don't see a problem with it.
I'm good with it.
I'm good with it.
Aaron? I think it's important for the patrons to know, I mean, it is a 0% increase, and if you look on the Department of Education website and you look at what other school districts can call on their capital outlay, and you look at the history, the overwhelming majority of the school districts, I mean, it's more than 75%. They max it every year. And there's many years we've done 0% or we've done some increases. I think it's important for the patrons to know when they get their tax slips next year, if their taxes go up, it's not courtesy of the Webster area school district, it's how the state decides what the local funding contribution will be. And so please contact your legislator and talk to them about that, because we're doing 0%, and I think that's important for people to know. Is that a fair statement, gentlemen? Because you guys can get hit up every time we get those certificates go out. People want to know. So if we're okay with the call, is there any issues within the proposed budget that we haven't already kicked around a little bit, such as the reading program, the replacement of the peat rock, anything else in here in what was proposed that we have questions?
We should talk a little bit about the carpet over in the business office. You know, I think regardless of what we do for a project, part of that office may turn into a boiler room. So I think we should hold off on replacing that carpet until we know.
I agree.
What's going on over there.
Speaking of carpet, this was redone?
Redone? No, this was just shampooed.
Oh, that they shampooed last time?
They did a good job.
Yes. Our music room, when the risers aren't there, you just go, well, you can tell where the risers sit all the time and where people walk all the time. It's 16 years old, carpet ages, and when you have high traffic ages, you're going to notice it. So.
But, you know, Larry, just when you mentioned that, I do think it's also important to tell the patrons, I wish you could come through the school between, the last day of school was what, May 19th, and our first day is August 19th. When you walk down these hallways and you see how much stuff is in the hallways, how everything is torn apart, and we got to thank our staff here for everything they do. I mean, as you're just talking about the carpet getting cleaned, it's amazing how much work is done during the summer to put everything together so it starts again on August 19th. And thanks to our staff, and appreciate everything you do because it does look good. Looks very good.
Another question I had was the fence under the bleachers. Is that a necessity? I don't really know what that's for.
Under, with gates or?
Yeah. And here's what I'm getting at. I'm maybe nitpicking a few things. You know, the clocks have been on the gym year list for quite a few years, and the paging system. I mean, do we need to be looking at some of that stuff right now?
Joel, I agree with you. The fencing and gates under the bleachers, I think we have higher priorities than that right now, and I'd rather use the funds in another area other than for a fence under the bleachers right now. I know that kids play a lot of tag and football games underneath there. They've done that for as long as there's been bleachers there. I just don't think we gotta, I'd rather take that out and use those funds somewhere else right now.
We need a place for them. I mean, we want to continue to improve everything.
Right.
As it moves along, but we don't want to all of a sudden think we're going to do something and put other things on hold, you know, that are scheduled to be done. We want to keep moving forward, you know, we're talking about project or everything. Well, if we can't handle this project without affecting everything else in the day-to-day, we better rethink our project.
That's right. We have to continue to operate, absolutely.
I would just say $6,600 for bleacher fences and then a front bleachers privacy fence. I mean, that's $10,000. Those bleachers have been like that for, Bearcat Stadium builders did it in the 80s, correct?
Right.
I just don't see that as a priority that we would have to do this year.
Yeah.
I think we could put that somewhere else.
I'm thinking that COVID money that's popped in and has made it possible to do some of these things that normally have been put on hold, you know, too. So I just want us to think that we still need to keep moving forward with everything.
How important is the clock project?
I'm just gonna kind of throw out a number. I would say we probably have 15 to 20 clocks that are just not working again. And I don't know if it's the model of the clocks, the system. Our intercom system in the elementary has had some issues and they no longer support the software. I believe we could upgrade the system and still use all the hardware and things like that, but Our middle school hardware, the speakers, those are all 1990, so they're 30 plus years old. The systems just age, and one of our issues that we have is this was built in 05, so you have this system in high school. The middle school was built in the 90s, you have that system there, wiring and speakers, and then the elementary was remodeled in 2010. So sort of the guts of our system are many different ages, and then the controller part of it is the same year as the elementary remodel, which I have to be honest has not lasted very long, but they no longer support that system. We can't get discs for it or software for it or the I don't know what they're called, technician, the little cards.
24,000.
It's
I
it's
think
like a card they built
there.
in
I think we should.
the box. They can't get those anymore.
See, I'd rather spend the $24,000 on the clocks. That's something we need, and they need to be updated. Like you said, it's 30 years old versus adding something new to the inventory with a new gate and fence underneath the bleachers that has worked for us for 40 years. That's where I'm at.
That's where, I would agree.
I think the clocks are something that we've kicked that can too many times. Like Larry says, we gotta keep everything up. What's the carpet extractor?
It's, like a scrubber, carpet cleaner scrubber.
Okay.
The other thing I would like to mention is with the technology budget, I have, the numbers that are in here are what the tech coordinator is requesting. And I have to include that in the capital outlay budget. I'm trying to get some of that approved through the REAP fund, and if that is approved, that will free up $45,000 more in the capital outlay budget.
If we could do the clock project, and if, Craig, you don't have rock solid numbers yet on the playground deal up there.
No.
But if all of a sudden, he's got 10 in there, if that went to 7, and, if we could save a few thousand here and there, maybe we can get it all.
Well, just the gate around, the 66, the 3,400, then on the front, and then the 7 there, that's 17. Just those 3 items, if we take them out, even then, we still had a little bit of room left over. I think the clock project is well covered, then if Craig picks up a few extra, and then if we get money from REAP, I think the clocks are a no-brainer.
I do too. And there might even be a chance we can still get the fence under the bleachers if a few of these things were to come under budget, but I think we should focus on the clock.
I'll just throw out, focus on if there's other stuff that we have to replace before doing new.
Yeah.
We have 4 football games. It'd be nice if we had 8-0 season, then we could have host, 3 playoff games? If we were lucky, but still you're talking 7 games.
There's one thing that I really didn't see in here. How are we on our landscaping mowers, snow blowers? I don't see anything for maintenance.
No one requested any of that from me.
I asked about that earlier today, Larry, and it sounded like everything's...
We just did the mower.
We'll probably give them ideas if we talk about it.
Right, but didn't we just do the
I
John
think
Deere?
they're satisfied right now.
A year or 2 ago.
Yeah, we purchased a lawnmower.
Well, that was a used one, I don't.
Yep, a year ago we replaced, and then the snow blowers, we wouldn't have any because we still
Yeah.
contract that.
Well, I was just, looking at.
Well, we still do
we have a snow blower.
Still do snow
Okay.
removal.
I watched some of the mowing and stuff, zero turns, not that I'm promoting that, but would that save a considerable amount of time? Or do we need to save time?
I'm sure it would. That has not been brought to me, so I don't.
Okay, I just wondered, there was nothing in there
Yep.
along those lines at all.
the larger John Deere mower that we have, the rear wheels turn, it's not zero turn, but it's pretty
4 wheels.
maneuverable for its size.
Yeah, I was just,
I'm gonna say this, and I'm not gonna try to offend Mr. Case, but one of our biggest challenges is mowing around trees and not leaving space between like the retaining wall and trees and things like that. That's where we run into some of the higher time-consuming maintenance.
I mean, the
for
mowing's
mowing and things.
looking great this year. Grass is
Can't
growing.
cut my trees dead.
You have a lot of area to cover.
Yeah, I know, that's what I was thinking. Some years, you know, we've had, things haven't looked so nice.
And I also want to bring up, I just need a little direction also, you know, at the bottom of the, you saw the amount that I said that we still have left to budget.
Yeah.
So with the projects that you've eliminated, if there's not anything else to add, do you want that to go into a reserve fund, or what do you want me to do with that amount?
I think that would be a reserve for any of our projects.
Put it in the boiler reserve.
Yeah, well,
What's that?
project
I was
reserve.
thinking, budget the boiler.
Okay.
Yep.
We know we
So
have.
the few changes that we've discussed, I'll put the reading series in the capital outlay budget. And
Can we
then-
supplement it if we need to, just in case I mean, if we put it in there, could we ever get called and say you're already budgeting it annually?
No, we have fund balance, so we can always do a supplement. It's
Right,
just-
so we can always do
But
it.
the other thing is, if we're ordering it, I mean, that's a large expenditure and we're ordering it, and it's not budgeted.
But Lori, we should be able to find out if the ESSER threes would allow us to do the retroactive. We should be able to find that out before she would have to finalize it
Right,
for
'cause-
you guys next month.
Here's my question, if they see it's already in, I mean, if it's already in our budget and it's already planned, then they're like, you don't need to use the funds for it. Why couldn't we just leave it out? If it doesn't get approved, we can still always do a supplemental budget for the reading July 15th, the last day it is before the order. Couldn't we do that?
Yeah. Let's just work on, we'll check on
Work through some details.
if we can, yeah, let's just
Okay.
check on the ESSER application first. You know, because with ESSER too, they let us go back. But I don't know if, you know, they think, yeah, so we'll just see if we can find that out.
Good. Anything else?
So the other smaller projects that are, we can kind of go ahead and plan for that, except for the 3 you wanted removed.
You good, Aaron? Aaron? Marty? Joel?
Yes.
I think we're good, Lori.
Good job, Lori. Nice budget.
All right. Boiler CTE project, I think we've pretty much covered that with our previous conversations, buildings and grounds. Anything else to add? If not, motion to move into executive session for personnel.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Larry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next meeting is Monday, July 12th.
The 6th.
Six.
Oh, special board meeting, yep, the 6th.
If it happens.
Canada, right?
Yes, I do need to hear from
I can let you know tomorrow.
3 others.
We're done?
We're done.
That's
Aaron
six.
said yes, and you said yes. So you 3 in the middle.